They're the low-value men.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whisper start. Low value mail. Low value mail at 9 o'clock. Where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
Welcome back, everybody, to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, October 27th, 2025, the year of our Lord. It's episode number 164. Joining me at the top of the hour is guest Matthew Szydagis, Professor Matthew Szydagis to you. It might actually be Dr. Matthew Szydagis to you. He's an astrophysicist, associate professor at the University of Albany Department of Physics. He studies dark matter and UAP research, and he will be joining the show a little later. Welcome, everybody, to my the fresh hell I'm living in. So many technical problems I've been having today. Literally, I was 2 minutes before the show started. All of a sudden, there's some crazy issue. There's probably going to be. I hope it doesn't come up on your end. But I was talking to Gerard, our lovely producer Gerard, and I'm gonna have to listen to you all with an insane echo in my ear. What luck? What luck? If you guys want to support the show, which I would appreciate, I'm telling you, it's the only chance we have of me not doing full Bud Dwyer, but you might want to see that. That is something that you might want. Yeah, let's go to adjust that. Please like the stream. I don't even need your money. I know a lot of you are low value males. You don't have any money. It's fine. It's fine. There's things you can do that don't cost a cent. You can like the stream. You can share it with a friend, which YouTube has told me helps with views. You can leave a comment on the episode. If you're a Spotify listener, leave a review or follow the channel, the page on Spotify. And if you would like to support the show, get access to ad-free audio, you can do so at patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL, $5 a month. Someone says, LVM till the day I die. I might beat you to it, pal. Anyways, we are back. It's an exciting time to be alive. Slav says, Danny, I tell everyone about your show. Is it because it's me telling them? Probably, Slav. It probably is. Also, Slav, don't call in with the guest tonight. I'm not going to pick up your call. But we'll be doing, I'm going to talk for a few moments. As I normally do, we'll be doing open lines. All right, we're going to war with Venezuela, boys. How we feeling about that? Do we have a good slur for the Venezuelans? Like a specific one that's not just like the normal slur that we have for the swarthy Hispanic peoples? Might need one. Might need to dust one off. Polymarket currently has the odds at 50% of a military engagement by the end of the year. Trump administration says they're just bombing drug boats destined for the United States. Rand Paul, who I'm sure many of you love, is not happy. He's calling these extrajudicial killings. Lindsey Graham, our favorite closeted homosexual, says, no, it's not extrajudicial killings. This is no different than Panama or Grenada when the United States intervened, overthrowing the leaders of those island nations. seems like for the first time in my life, or maybe not the first time in my life, but this seems like the first time ever where the war on drugs is now an actual war, where they're doing like real war shit. They're like blowing shit up. Do we like it? I don't know how we feel about this. President of Venezuela, he's not pumped, as you could imagine. Not pumped. Nicolas Maduro actually said, and I don't necessarily believe this, I'm actually going to go ahead and say this is probably bullshit, but they said that the Venezuelans have captured a group of mercenaries with ties to the CIA. This has not been verified, and, Maduro, if you're Maduro right now, I mean, there was a thing on 60 Minutes yesterday where apparently they were talking about Venezuela and some dude was like, I think he was Tim Scott or something, some senator, governor was like, he should start planning on moving to China or Russia because ain't about to be good for him. He also said that a false flag attack was planned from waters near Trinidad and Tobago to generate a full-scale military invasion of Venezuela. And don't forget, the United States currently has a $50 million bounty on Maduro. So they want his ass, man. And generally, it feels like when the United States has their scope on you, they got their crosshairs on you, I guess would be more accurate. Not looking good for you. Not looking good. And is it a coincidence? Do we think, Scroats, it is a coincidence that Venezuela just so happens to have the largest oil reserves on planet Earth? It's not that sweet crude, though. It's not the best oil, but they got a lot of it. What a shithole that place is. You guys obviously know that there's an election coming up in New York City here. Zohran's going to win, literally barring him being denaturalized in the next, what do we got, a week? I think it's like a week tomorrow, maybe? So barring Zohran Mamdani getting denaturalized. Now, granted, he's just the mayor. He's not the president. The guy has so much Rizz. Man, he has so much Rizz. Curtis Lewa's got a bit of Rizz. Andrew Cuomo, zero Rizz. No Rizz for Cuomo. Mamdani, most Rizz, followed by Curtis Lewa. But when you see these countries, they go full socialist, and then the socialists who are like, yeah, socialism's sick, and you go, this country has the most oil on earth. You think that I'm not saying they need to be doing the best, but to be a verifiable shithole, it just doesn't add up. You would think, this is probably, if you removed the socialism element here, and that's the best part of socialism, they go, oh, yeah, everybody benefits. You go, they're all dirt poor. They're eating cats. It's fucking Haiti all over again. Last year, Trump was actually talking about taking Venezuela over once they collapsed and getting all that oil, and now we're here. Coincidence? I don't know. My question is for you, the patriots who watch this show, the patriotic scroats. How we feeling about another regime change war? We liking it? What are we thinking here? It's just one last job. I mean, it's one last job, it's just the last one until the next one, obviously. Man, America just loves overthrowing dictators, huh? Man, that's the one thing I'm really not looking forward to about Mamdani being mayor of New York, which is a formality at this point, it feels like. It was really good if you check it out on going around on Twitter, these female rabbis for Zohran. One of them is trans, of course. When I was a kid, rabbis were all old dudes. There was no women. Now they're all women. Women have taken over the rabbi game, which makes that Metzi thing a little less gay if you think about it. So there's a plus to it, but these people are all insufferable. But yeah, Zohran being mayor in New York, it's just going to be him fucking nonstop beefing with Trump. He used to be a rapper. So we might actually get some real Trump diss tracks from Zohran. Like a real diss track. It's not even going to be like talking shit on the internet. There's going to be some highly produced diss tracks coming from Zohran. It is, you got to admit though, it is interesting. The U.S., they can just blow up these boats in the Caribbean, provide no proof whatsoever. The only proof they provide is they go, yo, we got this cool ass video of us just annihilating these boats, just hitting them with missiles. And you go, do you know? Because some people are like, these are just like fishing boats. Now, I'm not the fishing boat camp. I'm sure they're up to some sort of malarkey. But, you know, if you came back and they go, hey, one of them was a fishing boat, you'd go, it's a tough break. It's a tough break. But the United States suffers zero consequences. They don't have to prove any of this. They just go, yeah, we're just blowing up boats. Not in our own country. It's not in waters we control. Totally different place. We're just fucking, well, I wouldn't say they're nuking them, but they're just blowing them up. Nobody cares. And if they do care, you go, what are you going to do about it? This is the America I know and love. It's so funny. Now with America's standing in the world, they're starting to be, see these articles coming out where people are traveling. They're traveling to all over the world. And when people ask them, they say they're Canadian. You know, that's how it used to be. That's my whole life, pretty much up until maybe Obama showed up. Obama was like, when Obama showed up, you could travel and be like, I'm American. People were like, oh, that's cool. Obama's black. Isn't he so black? And you go, he's actually not even that black, but he was a little black. And everybody was like, that's cool. And then Trump showed up and you go, we're Canadian again. So anyways, when the United States decides time is up for certain world leaders, that is the end of the line for you. Pack your bags for China, for Russia. It's where you're going. Where's Assad right now? He's in one of those shitholes. That's for sure. Well, China's not really a shithole. I guess parts of it are. Same with Russia. But, you know, you're in Moscow. You got some cash. You're doing good. I don't know why Slav's calling right now. Polymarket's odds right now, 22% chance Maduro's out this year. So who knows? Who knows? Sounds like he's not going to go down without a fight. I'm going to talk about one more thing. They're going to open the phone lines. Shout out. Guys, I met Chris from Dallas this weekend. Can you believe it? I felt like I was meeting a celebrity. I'll open the phone lines now. Phone lines are now open. You can get to it. Yeah. Chris from Dallas. I met him. He's doing well. We had a couple beers after the show in Dallas. Shout out to everybody who came out to the shows in Dallas this weekend. Fun times. Very fun times. But he's doing well because I know a lot of people were worried. I was worried about him. Met him. He's wearing Toronto Maple Leafs toque, which is what we call them in Canada. Also go Jays tonight. Game 3. It's Game 3 of the World Series. And I'm here. What the fuck am I doing, man? What am I doing with my life? More tariffs for Canada coming. Not because the Blue Jays are tied 1-1 with the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. Great win the other night. Big loss 2 nights ago. Can't win them all, though. I didn't think it was going to be I didn't think it was going to be a sweep, that is. I thought probably likely a 6 or 7 game series. Maybe the Jays can pull it out. I don't know. I know for a fact most of you don't give a shit. But more tariffs for Canada. I don't know if you guys have been following what's going on in Canada or /America/Canada. Over the weekend, Donald Trump increased the tariffs on Canada by an additional 10% over a commercial that was produced by Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who famously threatened to run me over with his car on City TV in Toronto. We're cool now, though. We're him and I, totally cool. If you haven't seen the commercial, it was airing all throughout the World Series. Trump was not happy. The commercial in question, aired during the World Series, was a video of Ronald Reagan from the 80s talking about the dangers of tariffs and how he was, for the most part, opposed to them. He was like, sometimes you got to use tariffs because, you know, some countries do some shady-ass shit. But for the most part, he goes, it's bad. It'll fuck up the country. And I guess we're going to find out if he's right. There is a part of me that says that time was different. This is, you know, that was a different time. We have different circumstances now. So maybe the whole tariff strategy is better. The Chinese also had been reposting this exact same. It was like an address that Ronald Reagan would give to the American people, I believe weekly. They reposted this thing. Trump had no issue with it. He did not like that Canada was paid $75 million to run these advertisements. That's what maybe I should do for the show. Should I just see if I can do a GoFundMe, raise $75 million, and then do ads for Low Value Mail during the World Series? Maybe I could get the viewers up on this thing. Not the worst idea. Trump said the commercial was AI. It wasn't, which makes him seem like a bit of a nut. And that Canada is trying to interfere with the upcoming Supreme Court decision on whether Trump is even allowed to do all of these tariffs. Because don't forget, normally, Congress has to vote on all tariffs. That's normally how it used to be. But Trump, with his clever Jew handlers all around him, bypassed that entirely because he says every issue in America is a national security issue, thereby giving him executive powers to just enact all these tariffs without going through Congress. Smart move on his part. He goes, he's figured out all these loopholes. He might be president for a third time. Who knows? I will say I'm a tad worried. Canada's actually playing this pretty well because to be honest, this feels like the first time Canada's had any leverage whatsoever in this entire negotiation, because Doug Ford was like, yeah, you know what? He's like, we've already got like 1 billion views on this thing. It's a huge story in the United States. So kind of mission accomplished. We didn't even have to spend the whole $75 million. Thanks, Trump. Saved us a few bucks. Trump was smart. He would have let them use the whole 75 million up and then been like, okay, cut this shit out. They probably spent half of it, get to pocket a cool 30-something million dollars, put it back in their pockets. Mission accomplished. But Trump's whole thing is that they're trying to influence. There's a Supreme Court case coming up where the Supreme Court will be deciding whether or not these tariffs are even legal, which, not going to lie, I'm a bit concerned if the Supreme Court rules against Trump on this one. First, the United States will have to refund any tariff that's been paid up until this point to whoever paid it. The regular person just gets fucked at this point. Just to be clear, if you're some wholesaler or whatever, you're like, okay, well, I get my money back. If you're someone who's exporting shit into this country, you get your money back. But if that money was passed on to consumers, all that does is just give a lot more money to these people who are, I guess, exporting stuff in the United States. Sweet for them. But a lot of Trump's economic policy decisions kind of relied on these tariffs, as I talked about, several months ago, beginning of the year. And if that's just all undone all of a sudden, there could be a lot of effects that we can't really know right now, but could be bad. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know, but I just know that sometimes things like this happen and there's things you don't expect that occur as a result that could be bad. So I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. We will see. There is a potential that this could really financially harm the country. And if it was Canada who did it, oh shit, he's giving Mark Carney the Maduro treatment. Better believe that they're going to be fucking naval destroyers on the coast of St. John, Newfoundland. All right. Let's go to the calls. Before I do, again, just like the thing, like the stream, leave a comment. Bathhouse. There might be an episode of the Bathhouse tomorrow night. I don't know. I might want to watch the game. We'll see. It's World Series. Plus, there'll probably be people watching it in the green room, and I don't know if it'll be. We'll see. We'll see how I feel tomorrow. There might be an episode of the Bathhouse. All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller number 1. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Hey, so with this whole Venezuela thing,
Yeah.
did they teach you in Canada about the Monroe Doctrine?
No, they didn't teach us about the Monroe Doctrine, but I do know about the Monroe Doctrine. It comes from when they had the Cuba Missile Crisis, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Or they used it for for the Cuban Missile Crisis because they had like missiles on the coast or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think the Cuban Missile Crisis, the response, JFK's response to the Cuban Missile Crisis was justified?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I agree. So you would too agree, Putin's military operation in Ukraine is also justified.
Is Putin's? Probably less so.
I mean,
it is a similar thing. Yeah, I could see the case there where they are similar.
You can't blockade on the ground. You could do it navally, but
yeah. No. I can see a similarity there. Yep, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So my whole thing with the Venezuela thing, it roots back to my whole thing of, I can't stop politicians from doing bad things. I would rather them just be upfront about it. So my whole thing with Trump saying we're doing this and that with Venezuela because of narcotics and production.
Yeah.
What is it? Does Venezuela have narcotics production?
Yeah. From the sounds of
is it comparable? Is it comparable to Mexico? They don't even hold a candle.
Yeah, not even close. Not even close to Colombia. Not even close to Peru. I mean, they're saying that. Like, I saw something where they're like Hezbollah is in Venezuela and is cooperating or some shit. Is laundering money through Venezuela. I mean, they're Trump should just be like, look, everybody, listen to me. $2 a gallon gas. That's all he's got to say. He goes, everybody, just shut up. $2 a gallon gas.
We are splitting this up into like 3 different things. One, my whole thing is, dude, Trump, just be straight out up front, being like, we want to tackle drugs. We are going ham all along western and northern Mexico. If you want to do tackle drugs, but if you want to, tackle Venezuela for the oil, just be outright, just have your dick and balls in your hand, being like, yeah. We want that oil.
Yeah, but he said it. He did say it last year. He literally said exactly that last year. So it's funny for him to be like, yeah, now I'm not bringing it up. Now it's just drugs. And because it's drugs, he goes, it's a national security issue, so I can do whatever the fuck I want.
And then this whole Hamas terrorism deal. First off, all the terrorist organizations, and when I say terrorist organizations, I mean like textbook definition.
Mm-hmm.
All throughout South America for like the last 30, 40 years. And I'm talking about during the days of Sandinistas, Contras, the cartels. You know about FARC?
FARC?
In Colombia?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah. They're the one, yeah. All of them and the ones, and then their offshoot subsidiaries in the jungles of Guyana and Venezuela. Guess who trained and arms all those people?
The United States.
No.
Oh, Russia?
Take another guess.
Afghanistan. Canada? I'm running out of guesses here.
The Jews.
Oh, the Jews! Of course, the Jews.
The IDF, yes. The IDF is how, because they openly brag about it. Yeah, those FARC, they get training from so-called ex-IDF. And there's no such thing as ex-IDF. Whenever somebody says they're ex-CIA, that's bullshit. It's an oxymoron.
I mean, I know many people who are ex-IDF who are just regular people. They're not like some fucking CIA spooks.
No, they're sleeper agents. Don't trust them, Danny.
Trust me, they're not.
Trust
me, if you met any of these people, you're not like, this is a fucking sleeper agent. I promise you.
I grew up in Houston. I can hear it in their voice.
Hear what in their voice?
I can tell accents apart.
I know people who are, I know Canadians who served in the IDF, born in Canada, served in the IDF.
Yeah, where's their allegiance? Where's their allegiance to?
Their allegiance?
Have somewhere they can run off to. Yeah, plus their allegiance is obviously to, to Israel. And plus, when Canada goes to complete shit, they have somewhere they can run off to scot-free on Canada's dime. And dude, I can tell, like, what is it? The same way I could tell every single slant apart. Like, all the Orientals don't look the same to me. I could tell them apart. Same with the Gooks and all. I can tell the difference between, Arabic spoken with a Hebrew accent and Arabic spoken with different regions, whether it's a North African or a Lebanese.
That's
or an
impressive.
Iraqi.
You're like you're a very worldly racist.
It's helpful to be discriminatory. It serves its purpose.
Sure.
And the IDF does the same because they do this thing called a mimicry, like a chameleon. Same way you people call yourselves white.
I'm white.
But no,
sometimes I get a tan though, and then I look kind of Middle Eastern.
Well, like I said, hey man, if Jews want to be white, then 6 million whites died in the Holocaust, and we need reparations. And we can.
You want to give them to all whites?
Be criticized.
That wouldn't make sense.
Well, I mean, what do you consider Albanians and Armenians?
Well, the Armenians had their own Holocaust. You
Well,
want to take credit for that one too?
No. What is it? That was the Turks. Russians helped the Armenians try to save them. And there's one nation on earth that doesn't recognize. There are 2 nations on earth that don't recognize the Armenian genocide, and those 2 nations hate each other. So
interesting. All right, Slav. Good talking to you.
And then lastly, just I wanted to give a PSA out to everyone listening.
Yeah.
If there is somebody elderly in your family, or like female, or somebody like a mother with kids, make sure they have their groceries and water and meat.
Yeah, Snap's running out, huh?
Hey, I'm telling you, bro, it's gonna be like the movies of World?
Like War of the Worlds?
Where it's all no, not War of the Worlds. What's the movie with all the monkeys and War of the Eight? What is it called? I forgot.
Planet of the Apes.
It's gonna be Planet of the Apes, and I'm telling you, man, they're bragging about it, and then they're getting mad at the blacks saying y'all don't do this.
Yeah,
like, I'm telling you. Like,
I do actually. There is like because I feel like none of the people who are on Snap or EBT vote. Like, I don't know if that's just stereotypical, but I feel like most of them are like they don't vote. If this gets them voting, man, if 40 million people or whatever the fuck, I don't know how many of them are eligible to vote. If they all of a sudden are like, we're voting, bad news for Trump.
I don't want them.
Bad news for Trump. If he took away their fucking Faygo Cola, real bad news for them. All right, Slav, later, man. Yeah, that could blow up in his face. I don't know. We shall see. Let's go to the West Coast. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Danny, this is OT.
What's up, OT? How's it going?
How's it going? I just wanted to kind of comment on the Venezuela invasion question.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said already. I think it's pretty much just a BS answer. I mean, I don't have like a huge knowledge of all the history of that region, but just from common movies like Sicario, like there was a whole character in there that was named, Medellin, or his whole calling sign was Medellin about Colombia. So it's like, if our whole thing is destroying narco states, we have one right next to us we're not touching that we're allowing to just bubble over, and we're attacking one of these South American countries, but the neighbor next to it would arguably be more of a narco state. So
I mean, you would think every country in Central America is probably like drugs are coming through them before they transit to the United States. You would think so. I mean, Mexico, obviously, the problem with Mexico is that Mexico is like a huge ally of the United States and trading partner. So that's a little more delicate situation with America, because America can't just be like, tell Mexico to go fuck themselves. Whereas Venezuela, like America has embargoes on them and sanctions, and it's a little easier thing to just really just go ham on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe that we've already done like a soft coup on Mexico. I don't know if you're aware of. I think his name was like Kiki Romero. He was like a DEA agent that was like tortured and killed with links pretty convincingly to the CIA. To where it's like, I think that a lot of the drug stuff is kind of like a smokescreen that lets our intel agencies just operate with a blank check wherever they want to go. And because they're running like an illegal coup, if anyone steps out of line, since what they're doing is illegal, they can just instantly bust them, and they're on both sides of the coin. So it's like, if you're good enough or a useful agent, they'll keep you, but otherwise, yeah, you're on the chopping block.
Yeah. I don't know what this Venezuela, but it does seem like they're gearing to just go in there. And I mean, again, they have a $50 million bounty on the guy for what? Just because drugs are coming in, they're transiting through Venezuela, like they're transiting through Mexico too. They don't put a bounty on the president of Venezuela or Mexico. So I don't know.
Speaking of, there's a
go
Mercenaries
ahead.
2 game. There's a game, Mercenaries 2, that coincidentally is no longer easily accessible to buy online with through EA. But it was like, I can't remember the release date, but it was a while ago, and the whole plot is basically invading Venezuela for oil, and you're a mercenary. So
really,
it's funny to see that bounty come back up again.
Oh,
yeah, and
man.
I don't know who was in charge at the time, but he definitely did not like the game. And
that's like that predictive program. It's like predictive programming.
Yeah, 100%.
Where they just have everybody playing, and then when we take over, go into Venezuela, everybody's like, "This is cool. It's just like the video game I like." Got no problems with that. Yeah, crazy. All right, thanks, man. Thanks for calling in. All right, let's take another call. Guys, like the stream. 212 of you watching right now. 90 likes. It's like you guys want me to go full Bud Dwyer. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? It's fine if that's what you want. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, is this Danny?
Yes, sir. Who am I speaking with?
My name's Pat. I just found out about you through the Moynihan report.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Mike's the man. Michael Moynihan.
Yeah.
Everybody go check out the Moynihan report. I was on last Thursday.
I know. I listened to the We the Fifth, or the Fifth Column podcast, and got through Moynihan that way, and then saw you on there, and then checked you out. I'm a huge comedy guy.
Oh, cool.
And so my question, you don't have to answer this, but do you know a bunch of comedians that are kind of on the Mamdani train right now? Because
most
I
of them
see them on social media.
It's most of them. I would say New York comedians, it has to be 90+%. But here's the thing. Most comedians are broke. Here's the thing. Most comedians in New York City live in New York City. Like, I know so many comedians who are like, they live in an apartment with 4 other guys. It's like 5 of them in probably like a 4-bedroom apartment where one of them is sleeping in the living room and there's like a curtain up, and they pay $1,100 a month each for their little room in fucking Bushwick. They have shitty jobs to afford to be able to do comedy. They probably have student loan debt, and they're just like, why not this guy? Explain to me why this is bad. And you would not be able to.
Is that the general thing, or is it the like the pro-Palestine?
No. It has nothing. This is pure cost of living economics.
Okay.
Like almost across the board. It is straight up. Everybody's just like, the city's so fucking expensive to live in.
Right.
Everything's so expensive. I was just in Dallas. You're like, stuff here is like legitimately oftentimes like double the price of somewhere like Dallas. Like, I was talking to a comic who was opening for me in Dallas, and he was basically saying the exact same thing I said, where he's like, I was living in an apartment like with all these guys paying $1,100. He's like, I have an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment in Dallas. It's like $900, $875 or something. He's like, I have laundry. Like, I know people who live in $4,000 a month apartments in New York City, and they don't have laundry. Like, that's the type of shit people do to live in New York City. Now, again, I'm not convinced that Mamdani is going to be able to fix this. Like, part of me,
I know they usually don't.
Well, the
Warren
issue
type,
is
AOC.
it's a supply issue in New York City. Is that there's just not enough housing. Like, as much as there's all these like rent control problems, they're like a big issue is there's not physically enough housing. And think about how many people, I don't know if anybody listening here thinks that, but there are probably a lot of people in the United States who, if New York City became an affordable place to live, like if New York City cost as much as the place they lived in, they're like, of course I would go live in New York City.
Right.
If it was affordable. So then even if you do flood it with supply to lower the price of living here, all these new people will come in and it'll just push it back up. Like there is an element where you're just like, people for whatever reason want to live here. And that just puts like huge pressure on the cost of living here. It's kind of like basic economics.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I'm just seeing that. I follow so many comedians on Instagram, and they're always posting stuff. There's a couple of big, high-profile guys that I won't name. I don't want to get you in trouble. Or
you can name them.
Like I don't know if you see them.
You can name them, what, like Stav and stuff?
Well, yeah, Stav, Mullen.
I mean, those
Mike
are all
Racine,
left wing.
All those guys.
I mean, Racine. I love Racine. Racine's like no surprise. I mean, Racine would literally vote for a real communist if that was an option. Like if there was like if Stalin was running instead of like beside Mamdani, Mike would vote for Stalin. Mike's like a real deal, like fucking hardcore. I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. I like Mike. Like Mike is. Yeah. I love Mike. In my opinion, he's actually like one of the funniest guys.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He's so funny. Like he is like one of the funniest comedians in New York City, like easily. But there's a lot of leftist comedians, and again, these guys are like, it just comes down to the economics. It's all it is.
Well, like Stav, probably not Stav, but like maybe
not Stav.
Seems like more of an economic guy.
No, Stav. The thing is Stav. You have to remember, like Stav was this guy 7 years ago or whatever. He was that guy. Stav's rich now, but he was that guy.
Yeah.
And same with Mullen. Right. Like they used to be that guy, and like they're just.
Whenever anyone asks Mullen about it, he always says, "Well, I think free health care is cool." That's his answer always. Like,
sure.
Are you a socialist? Are you a communist? And it's like it's a very convenient, nice response to say to something like that.
Which I mean, I said this on Moynihan's show. There is free health care here.
Yeah.
Nobody gets turned down for health care in this country.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for taking my call, Danny. I just didn't know how you dealt with that too with comedians. Do they know you don't support the same stuff they do?
Comedians don't give a shit. Yeah, like I mean, like actual good comedians don't give a shit about that. The ones who are like lower rung comedians who are all like jockeying for a position, they maybe care a little more. But for the most part, they're like, they don't care. Like I haven't seen one comedian really support Curtis Lewa, although I like Curtis Lewa. I actually do. He talks all the same stuff about affordability. He doesn't have the Rizz. He just doesn't have the Rizz.
Yeah,
he doesn't
Rizz.
got it. No,
I mean,
he has a little Rizz.
Kind of Rizz.
Cuomo has zero. He has a little, but it's not enough. And again, this is
Mamdani's got the Rizz, man. He's got some good writers working for him.
Yeah, this shit's a popularity contest right now, and it's over.
Yep.
Anyways, thanks for calling in, man. All right. Let's go to another call here. Who do we got? I think I know who this is, but I don't know for sure. Hello.
Hey, Danny.
What's up?
Not too much. I want to change gears a little bit conversation from the mayor.
Yeah.
Have you been reading a whole bunch about total U.S. power generation compared to China's?
No, but I imagine it's a lot less, if I had to guess.
Oh, yeah. So in the year 2000, the U.S. was a little under 4 terawatts for the year.
Yeah.
And China was just below 1.
Wow.
2024, the U.S. is barely above 4 now.
Yeah.
And China's going to break 9 pretty soon.
Wow. And is it all because of nuclear? Is China going full just nuclear?
nuclear and
coal.
like super large power plants.
Yeah. I mean, this AI stuff, like with the way that it's just sapping energy. I mean, there's this whole thing now where like people, they want to build these data centers and municipalities are like, we don't want this shit. Like, well, why would we want this? So everybody's like, sure, here's 1,000 new jobs and everyone's energy bills double or triple. Makes like
exactly. So
doesn't.
I want to say it's Oregon, where 1/3 of all power is used for data centers.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, especially for some of the shit the stuff is getting used for. I imagine someone's going to have to do something about that. Like the fact that these data centers just pop up and they go, yeah, just like the people who live around here will just kind of subsidize it. And you go, what? How does that work?
Yeah.
Like there'll have to be some laws coming in that'll just be, well, I mean, all these AI companies are all going like all the nuclear stocks have been going crazy, these companies, because I guess
Google's trying to do the first private nuclear.
Meta's doing it too, as well, because I think the idea here is like the nuclear is like the only way, which is
the only way.
It reminds me kind of like sports betting, like all the gambling stuff where it was just like vilified and everybody's like, this is the worst shit. And then all of a sudden we were like, no, this is great, actually. Seems like similar
Once
with
people see the money.
Yeah, it seems similar with nuclear, where everybody's like, no, we can't have nuclear. Like, don't you remember, like, you know, fucking 3 Mile Island and whatever the place in Russia and all that stuff? Like, now they're going to be like, oh, you know what? It seems like it's good now because we don't want people's energy bills to go up. So actually, nuclear is fine. Which I'm not against nuclear. It's just funny how people just completely 180 and they go, oh, you know what?
Flip on it.
Yeah.
So this is hitting pretty close. So I'm in Denver. And have you heard of the Flock AI cameras?
Oh, I have heard of those. Yes. You know what? I was reading about them. I was going to bring them up on this show like maybe a couple months ago when I read them. But they're basically just like putting cameras that are just constant surveillance. Like the company...
Literally everywhere in the city, like block to block.
The guy said, didn't the guy who like started, he said like if you put in the Flock AI, you'll have zero crime or something. Like we will catch.
Yeah.
It's like
so the idea, it could like digitally tag you. So even if you cover your face or you have a mask, everybody walks different. People have a unique gait.
Yeah.
So it'll just digitally tag you. Then the next camera will keep tracking you. And eventually you're going to have to go home or you buy coffee or whatever the fuck. And they're like, now we know who you are. We'll watch you long enough till you make a mistake.
Yeah, they literally said they're like, we will get down to literally zero crime. And it's crazy because like this guy, it's like, what is that? Like Minority Report or something? Like
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we will, you know, catch every crime before it's committed. There will be no crime. And all we have to do is surveil everybody 24/7 all the time. And you're like, that's not a good trade-off.
Okay. So I brought all of that up. So this is where conspiracy I'm forming.
Okay.
So also in Denver is where Palantir's headquartered.
Okay.
And Flock is one of the largest deployments in Denver so far in the country. So I think that like we're just their testing ground right now, or like training up all their models so they could observe what like average people do and try to predict patterns from that.
I mean, 100% that it's going to be rolled. Like once it works in one city, they're going to roll it out everywhere else.
Oh yeah. And
yeah, I didn't know Palantir was in
a bunch
Denver.
of data centers. Yeah. It's like right across the Capitol. It's the craziest thing.
Interesting.
It's like in a non-discrete building. Like it doesn't look like, you know how like Apple or Facebook have fancy buildings?
Yeah.
It just looks like a bullshit brick building.
Yeah, just whatever.
Yeah. And so they're building data centers, and our utility company sold them a contract where they get the first 40% of energy. And so just through the day, now the utility company could claim they're under load, and they get to charge us load pricing. It's the most infuriating thing.
That's pretty. And is there anything that can be done about it? Or
the mayor or someone got to step in and be like, no, the tech company can't just buy the first 40% of all electricity.
I mean, that seems just like normal. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're thinking, because eventually people are, especially with the cost of living,
if you want to,
of everything
here's
else.
a corrupt story.
Yeah.
So the mayor of Denver, originally the council voted against Flock 0-12. It was a majority against them not to be in the city. So there's a provision that the mayor could give out any city contract if it's under $500,000. So he gave them a $490,000 contract to start the
farm. Right. Yeah, that's fucking shady. I mean, that Flock thing, if people do not know what it is, go look it up because it is legitimately frightening. And the way they talk about it, how they're like, this is just going to be so normal. There's just going to be a camera tracking your every movement all the time. Like, we talk shit about China all the time, but like they're doing that here right now. And people either don't know about it or don't
building
care.
So fast in the city. I've never, like general construction work, I've never seen this fast on how they're putting up these cameras everywhere.
Don't they have drones as well?
They do. There's like drones in the city, like Broncos games and stuff I go to a lot. So maybe like there's some in there.
Yeah.
But the cameras, it's like a light post everywhere on the street now.
That's crazy. And when did they start building them?
Maybe a month or so ago now.
A month or so, that fast. Yeah. So when I was reading about them, that was over a month ago. So that was just like they were talking about. They're like, yeah, we're just like this tech startup, and now you're like, they're just everywhere in Denver.
Oh yeah, dude, they're valued at so much just because they're part of who owns Palantir?
Palantir is a public company.
But like that, the CEO, not Larry David.
Well, Peter Thiel was like
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, Peter Thiel was an early investor in Palantir.
Yeah, early investor, not owner.
Yeah. I mean, that guy seems like anything he fucking bets on ends up being.
It just feels so because I would like if this was in San Francisco or Seattle, you would kind of get it. But Denver's kind of like a boring Midwestern city.
Well, maybe that's why that's like the easy way to deploy it is they go like, yeah, we don't even really have problems. We're just like trying it out. And, you probably won't even you won't hear that much about its use because it's probably like, it's not that crazy of a city. Like if it was in New York, it would be a real to do. But I mean, here's the thing. Everybody's talking shit about Mamdani. I bet you Mamdani wouldn't allow that to happen. I bet you Mamdani would tell them to go fucking hit the bricks. If they tried to do that shit here. So interesting. Anyways, good talking to you, Maurice. Later, man. Maurice. Let's go to another caller here. And we'll be joined. I'm going to close the phone lines. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to everybody. But stay on the line. I will do my best to get to you all. I will do my absolute best. Like the stream, guys. Still 125 likes, 250 of you watching right now. Okay. No dice on this caller. Let's try the next one. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. What's up?
What's going on, Danny?
Hey, what's up?
Well, I wanted to call and kind of give a little extra perspective on the Venezuelan issue. I'm actually from there.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it. This is great. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
What are we getting wrong? First off?
It's a couple of things. Maybe not wrong. It's more just like a lack of understanding.
Okay.
Right?
Let's hear it.
The country, just to give you a quick little history on it, it was independence was declared in 1811.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's 30-something years after the U.S., so just about 35 years or so. And since then, the country has had something in the order of 25 constitutions, I think.
Yeah, so I was looking on Wikipedia, and like I didn't realize like Venezuela, it was like the United States of Venezuela, and then it was like the Republic of Venezuela.
Yeah, it keeps very messy.
Yeah,
like extremely unstable. Just it's always been like that. It actually used to be part of a bigger country beforehand. It used to be Colombia, Venezuela, and Panama were all kind of glued together.
Okay.
And parts of Ecuador, and it used to be called La Gran Granada, just the big grenade.
Okay. What is the island there? I went to Venezuela when I was a kid, actually. Oh, hold on a second. This person finally picked up.
Okay.
Too late. When I was a kid, there's like that island there.
Well, there's a few, but the big one, the main one's called Margarita.
No. Oh, Margarita Island. Yeah, that's what it was. Margarita Island. Yep. I went there when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's
I remember. I remember my parents. They had to get like bolivars, like the currency. And I remember I was like I must have been like 6 or 8, but we had to like meet some guy, and he just had a briefcase full of money that we had to, like,
you buy them with a book bag. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the way to do it.
Yeah, I remember.
There's no currency exchange store.
Yeah, no currency. And this was probably like 89 or something, maybe 1990.
Yeah.
But go on.
Said, dude, this country has been unstable forever. It's been a complete mess. It's had
so when people say that it's socialism that made them unstable, you're like, that's not true. It's always been
currently the current fiasco they're in. Yes, it started in '99 with Chavez, because we before that the main big hit was in the late '50s when it was kind of socialist also, but. There was a whole mess. There was a coup. There was all kinds of nasty stuff. And then in '99, Hugo Chavez won, and one of his first things was to come up with a whole new constitution again, and that's pretty much the one we're on to this date, I believe.
That's crazy.
And
you guys just have
this
new.
country is very.
It's just interesting. I
think it's 25 or maybe 26. Something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I assume you live in the United States, but like it's crazy because here the Constitution is, you're like, that's the Constitution. We can amend it.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It's very difficult to amend the Constitution.
Very
but it could be amended. They're just like, all right, new Constitution. Here's a new one.
It's pretty much like with every other president, a guy comes with a new book and he's like, okay, so this is how we're doing things.
That's crazy.
It's basically how it's been for the whole story of the country. So now, since Chavez, there's been a whole... It got really nasty, right? Because he used to be a soldier, and he was just full military power, really took the country by the horns, right? And they got really nasty with the drugs. This coming from Chavez's really buddy-buddy relationship with Castro.
Yeah.
A lot of people call him Chavez's protege or whatever. I don't know how true that is, but they were very close. And the people fail to realize how big the drug world is in Venezuela now. I don't know if you saw, but I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, Kristi Noem had a little press briefing here in Florida, where I'm at, not far from here, and I think it was in Sarasota. And they had laid out on the table like all kinds of drugs and guns that they've been finding from these people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge, dude. It's so huge.
So it is. So basically, you're saying it's not. It's massive. It's massive. They are big. Massive. And is that like government corruption?
Chavez's daughter.
Yeah.
The corruption. My phone to get into that exactly. Chavez's daughter, which lives in New York, I believe, is a neighbor of yours.
Mm-hmm.
She was ambassador for the UN for the Venezuela. For I think like 5 years. I think it was like in 2014, right after her dad died. And this woman is worth, the last number that I remember was from 2015, that they said she was worth about $4 billion.
Wow.
With a B.
Wow.
So this is a woman that has never done anything with her life ever.
Correct. Yeah.
And recently there were some rumors that number might be up to 10 now. I heard it from my mom, that she heard from some people she still talks to down there. Can't verify that one. But the 2015 number for sure was, I think, $4.2 billion.
That's crazy.
For a total nobody.
I mean, if she had her money in the stock market, that $4.2 billion would be $10 billion now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of mad. I'm kind of torn in this whole the boats thing, because on one hand, fuck these people.
Yeah.
They literally ruin the country and they're running drugs all over the place. So, go to hell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this kind of reeks of like 2001 Iraq,
For sure.
Hey, let's go over there and get involved on something that probably we shouldn't be getting into.
And like the precedent there.
The US to get in there.
Yeah, like the precedent there. So you're like, what? So every country that brings drugs in the United States, now the United States just goes bombs the shit out of them. Like it's not just Venezuela.
South America.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just Venezuela.
You're gonna take over Mexico and Peru and Ecuador and Colombia and Venezuela and like half of Brazil. Like, come on. You gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
And not that the U.S. would have a hard time getting into Venezuela, because Venezuela literally has no money other than the drug money. A few years ago, there was you can look this up if you care.
Yeah.
But the infrastructure in Venezuela got so bad that their oil production is non-existent. It's maybe 1% of what it once was. My dad, a lot of his buddies from engineering school, like he keeps in touch with, he'll tell you, yeah, dude, we don't even make 100,000 barrels a month, which is
crazy.
A minute amount.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's like
there's absolutely nothing.
Alberta in Canada probably does, I don't know, millions of barrels
they used to do multiples of that in a day. Yeah, they don't do that in a month.
Crazy.
So,
and is that just because they have nowhere to sell it to?
No. It's just the infrastructure so destroyed and so unkept, and there's no maintenance on the machines that nothing works.
Just nothing works.
So all the oil rigs
and they can't get outside investors?
That's where I'm getting to. A couple of years ago, a bunch of boats, giant like carriers, came from Iran, and the government sold the oil to them. So Iran actually gets a good amount of their oil from Venezuela. A lot of people don't know that. If you look into it, you'll find pictures on the Venezuelan coast of these gigantic oil rigs and boats pulling up to them with Iranian flags, just going there to do pickups, like
just picking up,
like a mobster went, dude. It's ridiculous.
And why hasn't Iran invested to like increase production?
Well, I guess they just I don't know the finances of Iran or whatever. Or
right.
Maybe they probably are involved to a certain degree, but it's also really difficult to get this information out. Because most of the time, if some secrets come out, the government kind of disappears you, and then we don't hear from you again.
Right.
That's still a thing. So, people are scared to say things and whatever, and, the boot of socialism there for you.
Right. Crazy. Well,
bad.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. So you're kind of in favor of it in some weird way.
I'm more in favor of getting, blowing them up. If it can stay at blowing them up, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground is. Yeah, boots on the ground.
I wouldn't want that.
Seems like
I really wouldn't want that.
Yeah, that seems like a.
So you want to put a barrier of boats in the Caribbean and then just not let anybody through? I'm all for it. That's great. But boots on the ground, dude, that never ends well.
No, that's true. All right, well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. It was good talking to you.
Well, sorry, dude. Take it easy.
Thank you. All right, I apologize if I didn't get to your call. I will not have time to get to your call. We are going to the break now, and we'll be back with Dr. Matthew Szydagis. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But he can tell me otherwise. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple minutes. We're going to talk about UAPs and some dark matter and some cool ass shit. All right. Sit tight. All right, we are back. Joining me is Dr. Matthew Szydagis. Did I get it right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. How are you doing on this fine evening?
I'm doing great.
Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a doozy. Honestly, I watched several podcasts you were on. I read a bunch of your stuff. I do feel like maybe I got a little ahead of myself. I may be too dumb to have this conversation with you. I may be too much of a stupid person, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best because this is a lot of this stuff's pretty out there. Obviously, my interest is in like the UAP stuff, but because I bring this. I have a wide array of guests on this show. Some of them are like legit flat earthers, which I imagine I don't even know if you care about them if they even make it into your.
They just bug me.
They just bug you because you are an astrophysicist, right?
Yes.
You have an interest in some of this like UFO, UAP stuff, but I guess you the way you come at it is you're like you try and scientifically verify this stuff versus a lot of like the woo-woo nonsense. Is that safe to say?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, so and your area of expertise is dark matter.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's not a fringe topic, actually. It's a mainstream.
It's a mainstream topic.
Yep.
What is that?
Well, we're not sure. It's a hypothetical form of matter that we have a lot of indirect observational evidence for based on gravity. And so it looks like most of the mass or most of the matter in the universe isn't made up of ordinary atoms like you and I are, but it's something else. Something that doesn't reflect light or shine.
Okay. Okay. So it's a different type of matter. Safe to say.
Yeah.
Is it observable?
Well, it depends what you mean by the word observable. If you mean visible light, then based on what I said a moment ago, absolutely not. So it depends again what you mean by observable. It's gravitationally observable. We've already observed it gravitationally. But it is, by definition, it's dark matter, so it cannot be observed using visible light, not directly.
Okay. So, but we can test for it.
Yes.
Okay. So, and you're at the University of Albany. You're a professor there, and so you've you and a team of physicists at University of Albany. I was reading about this. You've proposed a scientifically rigorous method of documenting and analyzing unidentified anomalous phenomenon, right? So now, I imagine in I don't know how big the physics department is where you are. I imagine this is pretty small. Is this still like in the physics world somewhat of a fringe thing to be into this kind of stuff?
A bit, but things are getting better. Things are not the same as they were decades ago. And we didn't just propose, we've carried out several expeditions to alleged UFO hotspots. We've published scientific papers. We're really pushing forward. And so it's getting harder to laugh at it because we've actually published serious papers.
And how are they received generally?
Surprisingly well received. Like I said, the stigma against the topic still exists, but it's decreasing with time.
Okay. And so what kind of, not to get like too in the weeds, but like what kind of tests are these and like what kind of stuff have you found?
So we've done a few multimodal studies where we have cameras of different wavelengths, visible light, infrared, near and far infrared, and also radiation detectors, all kinds of sensors. And the idea is to do a multi-sensor view of UAP at alleged hotspots to try to collect data. We haven't found, anything conclusive yet, but we did demonstrate that it's useful to go out and, do instrumented field studies. We're definitely not the first, to do that or think of that, but we're just the latest in a trend of groups that are moving towards more instrumented studies, which is very different than eyewitness testimony, for example, and studying really old, cold cases.
Right, which is kind of the entire body of, I guess, the UFO space is just someone seeing something somewhere. What are your thoughts on the abductions? Do you have any?
So that one is a really strange one for me. I like to stick to the nuts and bolts. Somebody saw something in the sky. The abduction one is a tricky one because I think there's even less evidence, physical evidence in favor of that than other types of observations. That being said, I'm not going to, laugh or ridicule people who claim that. I would instead take the approach of curiosity. And even though I'm very skeptical of their stories, I would want to test them and look for physical evidence. So, for example, somebody says they're being abducted from the room. Can we, with their permission, of course, can we have cameras? Can we have other kinds of sensors? Can we get the physical evidence? So I'm all for getting the physical hard evidence. And even if I don't believe someone's story initially, I'm willing to listen to them and come up with an idea, to come up with a method to try to get some physical evidence. And if I was in that situation, I would be very grateful if a scientist came to help get physical evidence, because then if there was evidence, then you're not going to be treated as crazy by everybody anymore.
Right.
So that's my take. Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you have to have a pretty open mind about just in your actual field of expertise. Like you have to have generally open mind because you guys are trying to solve some, very theoretical issues, right? So some problems, and you just generally have to have a pretty open mind about that stuff. Do you have any? I ask a lot of kind of people in the UFO space, and they vary. Do you have any thoughts behind this whole thing where a lot of UFO sightings, UAP sightings, encounters all happen in the United States? Like you don't hear a lot about this outside of the United States. Do you have a theory on that?
Yeah, well, I do, because that's actually false. Because we hear about it all over the world. We've got Chile, Paraguay, Mexico, Germany, and France have their own UFO groups. The French government released a multi-hundred-page report. There's the UK Ministry of Defense. China's looking at it. Russia's files go back decades. Then there's all the stories from Africa. The close encounters there, like the famous Ariel School story. So it's
everywhere.
It's a very common myth used by debunkers that it's a United States phenomenon, when actually it's a global phenomenon, and that's been the case for decades. So there's this very prevailing myth that somehow it's the United States, and that's not even close to the truth.
Interesting. So maybe that's just a bias from living here, and maybe just that's what you see here, and you don't get it. So because you said something that I thought was pretty interesting, which was, because a lot of people will say, if there's UFOs, UAPs, how do you distinguish the two, by the way?
I think, so the UAP is the newer acronym. It's a little bit broader because it has the word phenomenon. So it encompasses more than just objects. Because what is an object, right? It implies a solid object. But what if you have, gases, plasmas, weird lights and stuff? So it's a little bit broader and more general. And by removing flying, it also expands into, outer space, water, other domain.
The ocean, right? Which there are a lot of reports of things coming out of the ocean.
Exactly.
Is that being investigated?
Yes, but not as much. It's definitely not as well known as the flying aspect of this. But there's definitely a whole category called USOs, unidentified submersible objects. And my colleague Kevin Knuth has been looking at that a lot. And one of the organizations also that we belong to, SCU, Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, has a USO study group. So yeah, that's just not as well known or as well documented, but that's definitely another aspect.
Okay. And do you have any leanings towards, if you had to bet money on what's more likely?
Well, I think it's oversimplifying to think it's one thing.
Right.
I think vast majority of sightings are either, misidentifications, hoaxes, things like that. So I'm guessing what you mean is, what about the sliver, the small percentage that remain unexplained?
Sure.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of, are you asking what's my favorite exotic hypothesis?
Yeah. Sure. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it would be extraterrestrial, because the others have zero evidence for them, but literally zero, and I can get into that, of course. But the extraterrestrial hypothesis has mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence in favor of it. In my opinion, of course, as someone could respectfully disagree with me and have a different, but that's my scientific opinion. And again, to be clear, I'm not talking about the vast majority of UFOs or UAP. The vast majority are just they're unidentified. So when we start talking about things like aliens, we're not talking about UFOs anymore. We're talking about IFOs. So to be clear, there's UFOs, and then if as soon as we start talking about aliens, the conversation of UFOs has ended, and we are now talking about IFOs. We've identified some of them as a specific thing.
Okay, and what, like that video, the Tic Tac, like what does that fall under? Is that a UAP?
Yeah, I would say so. My colleague, Professor Kevin Knuth, has with two of his colleagues, Peter Reali and Robert Powell, they published a seminal paper actually in 2019 that nobody's talking about, nobody's heard of, mainstream media didn't pick it up. Major seminal scientific paper demonstrating that the Nimitz encounter had bizarre velocities and accelerations, and that the most likely explanation was aliens. And it goes into very great detail, and the paper just went past with nobody even noticing.
Wow. I imagine that's frustrating, because I imagine these aren't things you just bang out in a weekend.
Yeah, no, it is frustrating that, because, University of Albany is not as well known, as some of the Ivy League schools. And so people don't pay attention to us, even though we're doing as good, if not better science than our competitors, but nobody has heard of us, so nobody notices.
Yeah, you guys are. And so what was that paper essentially just goes over, obviously it's from a more scientific approach, but you're saying this is how this could be possible from a physics standpoint?
No, we have no idea how it's possible from a physics standpoint. We're just looking at the data and saying, what does the data say on velocities and accelerations? And then which hypothesis does that match the most to mathematically? Not physically. We have no explanation for like exotic propulsion. There's all kinds of crazy ideas. That was not the focus of Kevin's paper. The focus was just looking at the math, and can we say that's within human technology or not? And the conclusion was this was probably not human-based technology.
And now, do you leave room for the potential that these are, government programs that you would just, not made available? Are these like physically, these things are not possible for anything to do that we know?
Yes, so that's a very good point. One excuse that's often given is, oh, they're Russian, they're Chinese, they're U.S. black ops. But the problem is when you look at the data, it would require multiple technological revolutions, not just one or two. There's no way that humans made all those technological revolutions and leaps all at once. That's just not how science or technology or engineering progresses. So it just seems very unlikely. We can also use logic and reasoning and ask the question, if the U.S. had this, why did we lose Afghanistan? Why did we lose Vietnam? Why have we lost any war if we had this miracle technology, right? I mean, the excuse is always, oh, we're saving it for a rainy day. How rainy does the day have to be? Like, does the U.S. have to be invaded? And if it's Russian, why haven't they just crushed Ukraine in one day? And if it's Chinese, why haven't they already obliterated Taiwan? And so we can use logic and reasoning together with the math and the measurements to indicate that some very tiny fraction of cases do not appear to represent any kind of human technology.
And also, that is this correct that there's no like materials that we know of that could withstand like those kind of speeds, essentially?
Well, correction, acceleration. So speed is irrelevant.
Okay.
So if I was going 150,000 miles per hour, that's fine. There's a common misconception, the difference between speed and acceleration. Right now, we are going thousands of miles per hour as the Earth rotates, and the Earth revolves around the sun, and the sun is going around the sun. Why don't we feel any of that? Because you don't feel speed, you feel acceleration. So it's a very common misconception. And in fact, for thousands of years, we had the misconception that speed. So if I was going, 100,000 miles per hour right now, sure, fine, whatever. I mean, if I'm in an airplane If I flip a coin, the coin does not fly to the back of the airplane at 500 miles per hour.
Right.
The very common misconception, in fact, flat earthers get into this and moon hoaxers, where they have no clue what they're talking about. And so, like I said, just sit in an airplane, flip a coin. Acceleration, which is change in speed, that's what causes fictitious forces. Like, for example, feeling you're pressed against your chair, that's caused by acceleration. And for literally thousands of years, going back to the ancient Greeks in the West, we got this wrong. We didn't have the right concept of, so this is how the world works. We don't know why it works that way, but that's how the world works. So the key is the accelerations. The speeds are irrelevant. I don't care if something's going 100,000 miles per hour. That's not important. What's important is the accelerations, because at the accelerations in my friend Kevin's paper, not only would humans or any biological entities be turned into liquid goo, but also any material, even the most advanced material science, 1,000 years in advance of what humans currently have, would be crushed into goo. Like, it cannot be. And so those incredible accelerations are really critical to the story.
And what are the speeds of these accelerations? Do you guys? I mean, I imagine you would know.
Yeah, I do. You mean the values? You said the speed.
Yeah. What? Or I guess, yeah. Sorry, I might not be using the right.
Yes, speed and acceleration is apples and oranges. So the speed of the acceleration doesn't make sense. But no, in Kevin's paper, he shows objects going hundreds of G, even thousands of Gs, where one little G is 9.8 meters per second squared. You know, you as a human being, you start to get injured or you can black out, at 5, 10, 15 G. And the wings off of the most advanced American fighter plane will get ripped off at 10 to 15 G or 18 G. And we're talking about hundreds of Gs or thousands of Gs. In the Nimitz encounter, as well as other famous incidents like JAL from the 1980s, from the Bethune encounter from the 1950s. So my colleague Kevin, with his friends Peter and Robert, don't just go with the Nimitz and the Tic Tac. They go through 2 or 3 other cases and show these accelerations are beyond human capability and technology and beyond any even kind of material science that we could extrapolate from.
Interesting. So yeah,
that's very crucial. Yeah,
and that seems like a pretty scientific case that you're just the way you put it forth is just this could not be of this planet, I guess.
Yeah, but the debunkers will still point out that, like, oh, we don't have all the data. But the problem is that the best data is classified because of the sensors that are used. The hardware that's used is classified because the American government doesn't want, the Russians, the Chinese to figure out how our radar system works. But the thing is that you can do FOIA requests. You can get like FAA radar and things like that. And that's been done. And still people come up with all kinds of excuses as to, oh, it's not anomalous, it's this or that.
Right. And so you've done the FOIA requests. Like, how do these show up on something like an FAA radar?
Well, that's the thing. So I'll mention another one of my people who are doing, people I know, I don't work with directly, but there's Daniel Coombe recently. He wrote a book called Anomaly, and in there he talks about the FAA radar returns he got, and they seem to confirm the eyewitness account from the JAL story, the Japan Airlines story from the 80s, where he saw some huge object jumping around. You see a strange return on the radar. And you could say, oh, the radar is glitching, it's reflections off the mountains. But the motions replicate from minute to minute what the pilot was claiming to have seen with his eyeballs. So now we've got a serious question to ask, which is, was this some crazy non-human technology, or was the pilot lying and hallucinating at the exact same time that the radar was glitching in the exact right way to replicate what he's seeing with his eyes? I ask you, which of those possibilities is more logical?
Sure. That seems to be pretty clear. And what do you like? Do you have any hopes for, like, do we catch one of these things, or is it just the hope that we see these enough times where eventually we can just? Because it seems like you've kind of, we seem to know that these things are here. They pop up from time to time. How often do we? How many reports are there of similar, like these Tic Tac kind of things where they're moving in ways that are just not possible for?
Oh, I've lost. I mean, hundreds of cases at least, probably thousands, out of millions probably, or hundreds of thousands. Because again, I said most are hoaxes, most are misidentifications rather, not hoaxes. Actually, most are just sincere misidentifications.
Yeah.
From people seeing things unusual because it's a weird angle or lighting of a plane, a bird, a drone, a helicopter, all those things. However, there are still a robust number of cases that I would say probably number in the hundreds by now, where you've got multiple witnesses or you have hard data that corroborates witnesses. Worst case, I would say it's at least dozens at the minimum. But I'm the wrong person to ask that, unfortunately. I could be wrong about this because I'm not really a UFO or UAP historian. Okay. There are people who are much better at that than me. I'm looking to the future to collect new data. But that's a very good question. I would say there are already more than enough cases that establish there's something strange going on that's worth further investigation.
Yeah. And certainly the government knows about all this stuff, and they probably, you would have to think, are doing similar work to what you're doing.
Yes, but with better data because they got the juicier, radar and better sensors, better, infrared cameras, things like that. But there's a paper I wrote that's addressing one of your questions that I published a year or two ago in the UAP journal Limina, the Journal for UAP Studies. And I published a paper where I talk about how if these things are real, if non-human intelligence are real and they crash because they're fallible, flesh and blood beings, I estimated how long it's going to take before someone gets, like an iPhone video of aliens dead crawling out of a wrecked ship. And I discovered that if these things are real, we don't have to wait very long, maybe another 20, 30 years, roughly, very roughly, approximately. And if these things crash as often as people claim, people like David Gluck claim, then the government can do whatever it wants, but eventually something's going to slip through by accident, since we have so many people walk around with cameras in their pockets all of their lives now, thanks to smartphones.
Right. Because I guess the premise for that is that the Earth is mostly water and, people live in these very kind of specific areas. And,
Well, yeah, I took that all into account in my paper. And that's why it's about another 20, 30 years. That's why it's not like, debunkers claim, oh, why don't we have any photos or videos? I demonstrated why not in my paper. Because the Earth is mostly water. And you've got places like Antarctica, Greenland with very few people per square kilometer. So it's actually reasonable for both some UFOs to be alien spaceships. That's reasonable. And at the same time, it's reasonable that nobody's captured a crash of one on the ground. Those two things are not contradictory. That's what I show mathematically in that paper.
Right. And are you concerned about what the reaction will be when that does inevitably happen?
Not really.
No.
Because I think people exaggerate when they say, oh, we'll panic if it's shown that aliens exist. No, nobody will believe it. There'll be conspiracy theories that it's all CGI, it's all AI slop. Right? So basically, I think we're in a post-truth world, in a sense, where it doesn't matter. The president of the United States could go up podium and be like, hey, everybody, aliens are real. Nobody would believe it.
Right.
And so I think we're past the point of panic. We're past that point. So I think what would happen instead is no one would care and people would think it's fake and they'd say, oh, look at the government distracting us from the economy, distracting us from war. So I think that 20 years ago, yeah, maybe there'd be panic, society would collapse. Really? Not anymore. And I know a lot of people disagree with me. And I tell them, look, just look at how people react to things on the internet. Nobody believes anything anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's literally on your doorstep. So if aliens literally landed and came to every house, that would be different. But if there was a disclosure saying, hey, everybody, by the way, aliens are real, nobody would believe it.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I said the same thing. I had a guest on last week. We were talking about these UFO cults that have popped up, and I kind of said the same thing where people would be like, all right, I'm just going to go watch football.
Exactly. I know you'd have reverse cults. You'd have anti-UFO cults coming up that would say, oh, the government's faking. There's no such thing as aliens. The governments are making up to distract us from the economy and our real problems. That's what would happen is you'd have cults, you'd have conspiracy theories all going the opposite direction from right now.
Interesting. But I wanted to go back to what you said earlier, your 0%, because obviously the things that you give 0% probability in this kind of realm. You mentioned it earlier. Just certain things in where you said there's 0% chance that these are real, I guess, or possible in terms of like the UFO alien stuff, based on your.
I mentioned like extra dimensions and things like that. So because gravity and electricity and these fundamental forces, they drop off as the square of the distance, that proves that we only have 3 dimensions. And that angers a lot of people. But a lot of people who talk about, UFOs are interdimensional, extra-dimensional, they're actually talking about parallel universes and don't know the difference between those 2 terms.
What is the difference?
So the difference is that an extra dimension is simply another direction in which to move. So imagine we all lived in flatland, and then we wouldn't have words for up and down, and that would be an extra dimension. But like I said, we know mathematically, very robustly, that there are probably no extra dimensions. If they exist, then they're curled up on microscopic levels. So unless the aliens are unless the aliens are smaller than protons, I think we can safely rule out extra dimensions. Now, most people, when they say that word, they mean parallel universe. So what's a parallel universe? It's another universe that has its own set of dimensions. So a parallel universe is like a universe where Germany won World War II, or the universe expanded too fast and there's no life at all. Like, that's a parallel universe. I think that's what most non-scientists, like amateur UAP researchers, mean when they say extra dimensions, but they just have no idea what they're talking about. So that, I hope that clarifies the bit. Yeah.
And what else in terms of the 0% probability?
Yeah. So the reason why I said 0, I was exaggerating, hyperbolizing. There are no zeros or 100%. There's always a possibility. In science, we have to acknowledge that there's always a possibility we can be wrong, even with well-established theories. And so I would say what I said was not 0% chance. I said there was 0 evidence of extra dimensions in parallel universes. So we've been looking for extra dimensions. We've been looking for parallel universes. We have found a grand total of 0. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean they're not real. Just to be clear, that doesn't mean they're not real. I didn't mean 0% chance they exist. No, there could be an infinite number of parallel universes. There could still be some strange extra form of extra dimensions that I'm not aware of, that science is aware of. But what I meant is that while there's 0 evidence for extra dimensions, 0 evidence for parallel universes, there's mountains of evidence for the extraterrestrial hypothesis, because while we discovered 0 universes and 0 extra dimensions, we have so far discovered over 10,000 planets in a small piece of the sky. And if we extrapolate to the rest of the galaxy, that probably means there are several trillion, not billion, trillion with a T, planets. And so compare that to the number of universes and extra dimensions we've discovered. 0. And so basically, if some UFOs are interdimensional, that doesn't solve anything, because then it just brings you back to the Fermi paradox. It's like, okay, great, but then where the hell are all the aliens? That's what I meant. And again, there are no zeros and 100% in life. I can still be wrong about that. I'm just giving you my opinion. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Where are all the aliens? Is there some element where they're too far away? I mean, obviously we know that some of them have, based on these UAPs, have reached here in some capacity.
No, that goes back to the accelerations of speeds we talked about. Actually, it's a common myth that's repeated by a lot of scientists who know better, like Neil deGrasse Tyson will go up there and blah, blah, blah. There's a myth about great distances. There's a myth about, it would take too long, because it seems like some of these scientists, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I guess they have a stroke or something when they're on YouTube, and they forgot basic science. We've known since 1905, thanks to Albert Einstein, we've known about relativistic time dilation. We've known about length contraction. And that's mentioned in Kevin's paper, the accelerations I mentioned earlier. As the accelerations measured in, for example, the 2004 Nimitz encounter, you could cross the Milky Way galaxy in 6 months. And there's no new physics needed. This is 120-year-old physics. This isn't some wild new hypothesis with no evidence. It's just basic relativity from Einstein. So there's this myth that keeps popping up that the distances are too great, the time scales are too great. But we've known since 1905 that that's patently false. So that's kind of a straw man argument that people pull up in order to then knock down to debunk the ETA.
Interesting. Phone lines are open, everybody. Excuse me. 1-888-949-2969 if you have any questions for Dr. Matthew. By the way, smart move not having social media. I know you don't have any social media, really.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, my God. You would be arguing with people.
Oh, I know. And people will tell me, they'll be like, hey, did you see all the hate against you on X or something? I'm like, I don't care. I have more important things to do than read people's opinions about me. I'm too busy doing real work, you know, like doing science.
Yeah, like doing. So what other kind of stuff are you working on right now?
Oh, I'm working, as I mentioned when I was on Danny Jones, I mentioned I'm doing parts analysis of physical evidence because I think cameras, videos, that's not going to convince anyone. Like we were just talking about a few minutes ago. So I'm looking at physical evidence because people claim they've got pieces of ships that crashed. Well, I can test and determine whether something's from Earth or not. I'm not the only one doing this, of course, it's Gary Nolan, Avi Loeb. What we're doing is we are pushing the envelope beyond just photos and videos, which haven't convinced anybody yet anyway. And we're trying to push deeper into the physical evidence.
And what kind of you've actually held in your hand these things?
Yes,
or
but don't get too excited because the vast majority of the time I test them and it's like, oh yeah, this is a 1946 airplane. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, most people who are like, oh my God, I've got a piece of an alien ship. Unfortunately, most of the time it's a rock or it's a piece of an airplane that crashed. In fact, in all the studies I have been doing so far, I have only, like I mentioned on Danny Jones, I only have come across one potentially anomalous fragment, and most are boring. They're from Earth, and they're very boring, and they have no special properties.
And what was that one fragment?
Oh, it's the famous art part. So it's called that because we like things that rhyme, but it was given to Art Bell, the former coast, passed away, coast to coast, exactly. So it's known as the art part. Plural art parts because there are several parts. I got one single art part, and that's what I is the only one that I've tested so far that even remotely has anything interesting about it. Everything else has been a rock or an airplane.
And what was interesting about it? What is it exactly? It's just like a piece of metal or something?
Yeah. A couple factors were interesting about it. It's made up of a lot of different elements, which is strange. I mean, it could just be impurities, but it kind of looks like it might be intentional. So it's almost like somebody created an alloy out of more elements than we usually put into substances. That's one thing. And the other is it seems to be really good at blocking radiation, in particular neutrons. And so there are these aspects of it that make it worth. It could still be, let me be clear, it could still be from Earth, totally terrestrial. I have some potential mundane explanations, but it's the most interesting thing I've looked at so far because microscopically also, not me, but other people who have tested the art part before me seem to see evidence of nanoscale structures that would be beyond our technology in 1947. So it definitely has some interesting aspects. It's not a done deal because the isotopic ratios do look like it's from Earth. And so it's not like an open and shut, okay, this will convince all the skeptics. Unfortunately, it's not an open and shut case yet, but it's definitely by far the most interesting things that I've laid hands on. I really hope it's not human because then I could say, oh, I touched something, that didn't come from Earth. I'd love to be able to say that. I don't have 100% evidence of that.
And what do you have to do to convince yourself of that?
Well, I need to study more of the isotopic ratios because that's like a unique fingerprint that tells us whether something's from Earth or the moon or Mars or from further away from another system. It's still not perfect because it could still be a meteorite then, right? It's not from Earth, that doesn't prove it's alien. Right. So even if I prove a particular hunk of material didn't come from Earth, that doesn't prove it was made by an intelligence. You have to couple that with proof that something is technological. Otherwise, you might end up with an expensive hoax as the explanation, or like somebody put a sample in high levels of nuclear radiation to fake it to make it look like it came from another star system. So you can never get to 100%. Like I said earlier, in science, you don't get to 0 or 100%. It's not math. Like you can say 2 + 2 = 4 with 100% certainty, not 99.9, but 100%. Unfortunately, in science, it doesn't always work that way. You don't always get quote unquote conclusive proof of something. You just get beyond a reasonable doubt, like they say, in court.
Right. And what percentage of your work, like, do you spend on this stuff versus dark matter?
It's still a volunteer side project because my day job my funded day job funded by the U.S. Department of Energy actually is to look for dark matter. And so, I have had with my colleague, Professor Levy, and I have had funding for like a decade. We've already gotten, millions of dollars in dark matter funding because that's a mainstream topic. I would love, though, to be able to get that same level of funding to do UAP research. That would be amazing. But the stigma still exists. It's better, but it still exists. You can't apply to the federal government for UFO research. That's not a thing.
They're like, we specifically don't want you looking into this.
No, because they want to keep the secrets themselves. That's right.
Yeah, they're not giving you money for that. And what, like the dark matter research, because I'm still very interested in this, even though I still barely know what it is. But what is the goal with like harnessing? I guess harnessing, is that even the?
No, it's not harnessing. It's detecting, conclusively detecting. And identifying it is a better word.
Identifying, and then once you identify it, what's the hopeful like use? Just kind of just knowing that it exists. Nothing
whatsoever. I mean, a lot of people are disappointed by that answer, but there's something you need to remember. The same question was asked for electricity. And are you going to sit here and tell me that electricity is useless? We're on a computer, right, that needs electricity.
Right.
When electricity was first harnessed, nobody had a clue what the hell it was good for, or magnetism, right? Like, what's it good for? I don't know. I mean, there's a famous story. It's probably apocryphal, but there's a famous story that Michael Faraday in the 1840s or whenever he was working on electricity, magnetism, was asked by the King of England. This is probably a false story, but was asked, what good is electricity? And allegedly, Michael Faraday answered, I don't know, Your Highness, but one day you'll be taxing it. And guess what? I mean, this is not an isolated example. Electricity is one example. Consider antimatter. Another great example. When we discovered antimatter in the 1930s, what's it good for, right? And for 40 years, it had no use. And then we developed PET scans, and now we use antimatter to diagnose cancer. Who would have thought of that in the 1930s? So there are all these examples in scientific history that things just are discovered, but they have no practical application. And in the United States today, this has been forgotten. We forgot that most science has no practical application. And then maybe 100 years later, it's like, whoa, this is the most important thing ever. And it drives our entire lives. I mean, the internet was created by scientists.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose was not so you can go watch porn and cat videos. The purpose was to exchange scientific data. And the general public would be like, yeah, who cares? And now the internet controls our lives, right?
Right.
So dark matter 100 years from now, we might look back on today and be like, wow, those idiots in 2025, they didn't know how dark matter was the #1 most important thing. I mean, that's exactly what happened with electricity and the internet.
Interesting. Yeah, that's. I mean, I heard you talking about the germ thing as well. Whether
yep,
they're like they had no idea. They thought germs were just some crazy theory or whatever.
And even when we saw them with microscopes, the doctors were not convinced they caused disease. They weren't convinced, right? And people died because people refused to see the truth. And that's why I think it's happening again with UAP. History repeats itself. Is because we pretend nothing's there. We think that's going to protect us.
Yeah.
That didn't protect us with germs. That didn't protect us with so many things where if we pretend something's not there, that doesn't mean it's not there. It still can get you.
Right. All right, let's take a call here. I don't know what these are going to be like. But let's take a call. Let's see what we got going on here. Going to the phone lines. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
This is Cole from Peoria.
Cole from Peoria. How's it going, man?
It goes. How are you guys? Shout out to University of Chicago. Dr. Szydagis, you did astrophysics there?
Yes, so that's where I got my degrees. Yeah, I'm at University of Albany now, but University of Chicago is my alma mater. It's my alma mater 3 times over, actually. Bachelor's, master's, PhD.
I believe Cole went there as well. Is that correct, Cole?
Yeah, I did the physics program there as well.
Excellent.
Finished in 2010.
That's awesome.
Good school. Yeah, I did medical physics there. You did the astrophysics program.
Mm-hmm.
How are those ranked? Who big dogged the other one between the two?
Astrophysics is it's a specialty. So I was more in particle and quantum.
Oh, okay.
Or it was mostly I would see what Dr. Szydagis says, but I think it's mostly like basically who you kind of like Hogwarts. You get like thrown in with some whack job, and then you have to do their Nobel Prize bullshit.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like an apprenticeship. So in graduate school, you basically you're like a wizard's apprentice where you're learning. It's very different than college. So graduate school is a very different kind of thing.
So like I guess you're a dark matter component here. You had come up with the Snowball technique.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yep.
And that's using like very like you're cooling water basically to a low temp and then waiting for incidents to cause it to crystallize.
That's correct. Yes, the Snowball chamber was invented by me and my colleague Cecilia here at University of Albany.
What is that?
Okay.
So it's a new type of particle detector. Have you heard of the cloud chamber or the bubble chamber?
I have not.
It's like this. Okay, it's the third. The idea is you super cool water below its freezing point. If it's clean enough and in a smooth enough container, then it doesn't freeze. But if radiation comes in, it can trigger it to freeze. And we were the first. This was already known for like 100 years, but we were the first to really turn it into a like practical technology as a radiation detector.
Wow.
So like with that, I guess when you get detections, what are you like you're mapping astral bodies, or what are you looking at?
So the idea is to look at the number of interactions, so like the number of snowballs that form in the water, and to also look at the direction. Because if you can tell the direction that the freeze starts in, like if it's not just spherical, you can tell the direction, then you might be able to tell the difference between, for example, dark matter and other types of particle interactions. That's the idea, but we have no funding for it because there's no money for new ideas. So we were told by the U.S. government multiple times, go away, because there's no money for new ideas. If you've got a new idea, unfortunately, now is not the time. I mean, maybe in the 1990s, but right now there's no money for new ideas. So the main dark matter work I do with my colleague Cecilia is the LZ dark matter experiment, because that's a mainstream experiment. It uses liquid xenon, not water, but it's a mainstream experiment. So that's where we have our funding. So we don't have any funding for the Snowball chamber, unfortunately.
So for everybody else on the call, basically you're out in South Dakota, you have these massive like chambers full of xenon that's like kept at a certain temperature. And then xenon's like super heavy. It's not very reactive. So you're basically watching for like how it moves to see like what it's interacting with in terms of gravitational forces.
Well, not gravitational, because actually gravity is too weak. So we can't detect dark matter directly with gravity, because gravity is the weakest force in nature, actually. So what we're hoping happens in the LZ experiment is that a particle of dark matter bumps in to one of the xenon nuclei, similar to the Snowball chamber. The difference is in the Snowball chamber, what happens is the water freezes. In the LZ experiment, what you see is a flash of light. So it's a different technology, but similar idea. Is you're looking for an indirect piece of evidence of the dark matter interaction, a non-gravitational piece of evidence.
Okay. I guess like how does that compare to like the LIGO stuff where, they saw those, so like what was it, 2015, where they saw the two black holes kind of circling each other, and there was variation across the lasers. And at the time, everybody was just hopped up on lasers because of the time discrepancies coming out of CERN. Because that's like, I think that's where they're throwing a lot of their weight now, on these kind of string theory setups, right?
What is string theory again? I remember I saw Eric Weinstein try and describe it, and he's like, I don't even know what it is.
Well,
it's just saying there's a quantum. It's like this weird. You're basically saying there's relationships between quantum and other things, and then trying to like tie a system to that, and you can.
Well, let me back up to LIGO and then string theory. So one thing is, let me go back to LIGO to Cole's question. So it's very different. It's apples and oranges when it comes to dark matter experiments, and I'll explain why. So with LIGO, they're detecting very violent events. And they were very successful. They have seen pairs of black holes colliding and merging. They've seen that multiple times now. They've seen pairs of neutron stars colliding and merging. They've seen all the combinations, black hole, neutron star, two neutron stars, two black holes. Those are very violent events. And so you see a lot of gravitational waves coming out of that. Now, you cannot use that to detect dark matter because dark matter is very diffuse. It's not like there could be clumps, but as far as we know, it's very diffuse. It's just like there's some average density to it. And so you need a very different technique. So you can't really use gravity to detect dark matter. I mean, some people are trying, but it's very speculative. Gravity gives you the observational evidence of dark matter. But if you want to identify what it is, you need the particle physics technique. So LIGO really can't say anything about dark matter, but it's a very good experiment for its purpose, which is to observe colliding black holes. And
has dark matter ever been detected?
Not conclusively, no. There have been claims of detection, but they've been debunked repeatedly. You know, everybody wants to be the first to win that Nobel Prize, and also scientists are human beings. We make mistakes too. There have been some mistaken claims of detection, and none of them have been conclusive. They all get ruled out. And so right now we're still waiting, working, and watching. But let me answer about string theory. Actually, go back to Danny. You asked, what is string theory? So we think that so in standard classical physics, particles are treated as zero-dimensional objects. They have no size, none. So like an electron has zero size. A quark has zero size. The idea behind string theory is that particles are not some bizarre thing of zero size, but they're tiny little strings. Very, 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 very small, but not zero in size. And what is great about string theory, as Cole pointed out, is it seems to have the potential of unifying the different physics theories we have now that seem contradictory. I hope, does that explain string theory?
What are the contradictory principles in physics?
Quantum mechanics and relativity. Both of them are extremely well proven, extremely well established, but they're contradictory. So, for example, let's take gravity.
They're really different kits, but string theory says that you can do both of them at the same time. Which is there's very specific veins where it works. I think Weinstein's issue is that like out of 100 people that are going to throw themselves on that major, like maybe one or two are going to actually get the funding, and everybody else can fuck off.
Is quantum theory the same as quantum computing?
No. Quantum computing is an engineering application. This goes back to my examples earlier of electricity and antimatter. You could ask the question, what is quantum mechanics good for? And until the last few years, not much. But now it could revolutionize our society with quantum computing, quantum communication. So those are examples of applications of quantum mechanics or quantum physics.
Gotcha.
And so you ask, what's the contradiction? The contradiction right now is we understand the world of the small very, very well, and we understand heavy things like black holes really well. But there's a problem, which is we don't know how to take the world of the small and the world of high gravity and put it into one set of math. And string theory is one example that tries to do that. So there are contradictions. So, for example, take gravity. According to quantum mechanics, gravity is made up of little particles, just like electromagnetism just like the other forces. But according to Einstein's theory of relativity, no, there's no particles. Gravity is like a sheet of paper that bends. You see, these are contradictory pictures, and mathematically they're contradictory. And something like string theory is an attempt to marry these to get a unified theory of everything.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's kind of the problem.
Don't ask me any questions on this, please. I will not be taking any questions.
I mean, the bigger problem, I think the problem people go with is that, like, you have these discrete and established disciplines of physics, and then string theory says you can kind of cover them all with the same thing. But then a lot of the extreme cases, which are the ones physicists tend to care about the most, are like the answers just are bad, and then you have to revert back to the basic anyway. So you're just like, okay, well, fuck this. There's a few breakouts though where people are like, see, it worked, and you're like, yeah, cool. Like,
sure. So could there be like dark matter computing one day, like there is like with quantum? You just have no idea.
Doubt it.
Doubt it.
Maybe propulsion. I think propulsion is more likely, but I'm only speculating because we haven't even found dark matter yet. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Do you think you'll find it in your lifetime?
In my lifetime, definitely, but that's because I plan to live to be 117.
Okay, all right. This is more interesting, or not more interesting, but how do you plan on doing that?
Oh, how do I plan for my friend Mike West. If you don't know who he is, you need to Google him right now. Michael D. West, because he's a common name. He's going to cure aging, so it's all going to be. It's
like Brian, fun. Like he's kind of on that Brian Johnson thing.
No, I think he's doing his own thing. I don't know if he works with Brian. So Michael D. West is a friend of mine who works on. You look him up. Look his Wikipedia page up. He's working on like reversing aging with telomerase. But yeah, I'm joking, of course, because I don't know if he's going to succeed. I'm not joking that he's working on it and that I know him. I'm not.
Okay, this is Michael D. West, CEO of Ajax Therapeutics.
Yes, that's right. I'm telling the truth that he's working on it, and I'm telling the truth that I know him. But I'm joking. I'm half joking that it'll be successful because I think it's a hard problem, obviously, to solve.
Yeah.
But we don't need to solve that because you asked how I could do it. It's easy. You know that's lower than the maximum possible, right? Like people have lived to 122.
Sure.
So there's no problem with 117. But you asked the wrong question. You should ask why that specific number. That's what you've asked.
Why do you want to live to 150? Because it feels like quality of life above 100 is pretty poor. But go ahead.
Not if my mind still works.
That's
I'll
true.
have a robot.
Yeah, that's true. By the time you're, I assume you're in maybe your late 40s.
Yeah. Well, I'm in my late 40s.
Or mid 40s?
Early 40s.
Early 40s. There we go.
Yeah,
so it's hard to see. It's a grainy zoom.
Yeah. But I hope to live to 117 because for a very good reason. I want to see the 22nd century. I want to see the year 2101 or 2100 at least. And so that's why. So that's why it's a specific, not a random number. I want my life to span 3 centuries. The 20th, the 21st, the 22nd. And I'm hoping humanity finally has its shit together in the 22nd century.
That would be cool. I mean, I don't know how fun that January 1st, 2200 is going to be, or 2100.
I hope it's going to be a big party.
It will be a big party. Yeah. I mean,
if we're not all dead from nuclear war or a pandemic,
or hopefully they didn't have like a Y2. They don't have like a Y2K equivalent that's actually.
No, I think computers are way beyond that.
Problem. Yeah. At that point, really, they're not like
that's like not a problem anymore. We'll have quantum computers by then.
Yeah. Anything else, or Cole?
Oh, I guess as far as you were talking about propulsion stuff, I guess hang up on me after this. Where do you see basically, high power, long range frequency transmission and the radioactive pressure stuff that kind of folds into the quantum time crystals and nonsense? But I guess, is there any like breakover with the dark matter there where you can, generate a field of potential energy in front of something and then force, transition of wave particle duality along that? Is there anything there?
Yeah, it's possible.
All right, I'm out.
All right, thank you for your call. Yeah. So I think it depends. To answer Cole's last question, I think it depends on the nature of dark matter. So if dark matter is made of certain particles called axions, then it's possible you might be able to push against the axion field that's everywhere and get some kind of thrust for propulsion, but it's very speculative. So I think he asked what's the connection with dark matter as well. But yeah, I think there are some exotic possibilities for like interstellar propulsion. And if there are advanced civilizations out there, they probably figured this out already thousands or millions of years ago even. But yeah, I'm very interested with some of these crazy ideas. The problem is that none of them have any funding. And without funding, we're never going to know which of them work or if any of them work.
And is there an issue with you figure out this propulsion thing, but then the human body cannot withstand, like being, I guess, the forces or are these unmanned?
We could do unmanned probes, and yeah, I think that's a possibility. But then we would just have robotic probes, which we already do, by the way, right? We've explored the heck out of Mars.
Right.
Without a human being ever having set foot there. When I say explore the heck up, it's not like we covered every square inch, not even close. But you know what I mean? We've sent dozens of robots to Mars already. And so I would be disappointed though. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I want to be going myself, but it's not the end of the world. If humans can't go, that's sad, but we can still do robotic probes.
It seems like probably a good idea that you have people in your field who are into science fiction, because it gives you like a little more imagination about, you know, the stuff that could potentially happen. Because it seems like, you know, a lot of science fiction stuff from the 40s is like things that are starting to come true or have come true. And it's like, you almost need to have that imagination, I guess.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And it's better than that. Not just 1940s. In the 1800s, Jules Verne already predicted the internet and television and going to the moon. And I'm not stretching things here, by the way. I've actually read the stories myself. It's not an exaggeration. You read it and I'm like, this sounds like social media. This sounds like the internet. And this guy's writing in the 1800s. Some of his books were actually, some of his stories were published posthumously. You know why? Because the editor was like, this is stupid. This stupid idea. This will never happen. Meanwhile, here we are on a screen, which Jules Verne predicted that you would get the news on a screen, and guess what? He was right. I mean, there have been some remarkably prescient, prophetic almost science fiction writers. I mean, but to be clear, science fiction does not have to successfully predict the future to be fun and enjoyable.
Of course,
yeah.
I would love, by the way, this is kind of an aside, but I would love to see you accidentally on like a flat earther podcast. Like unwittingly show up to a podcast with a flat earther.
No,
I feel like you blow your top.
That's happened to me before. And
Has it? Where can we see that?
Fortunately, no, I'm not going to tell you. No, you can't see it because it was, I don't think it's up yet. But my blood was boiling because I'm like, I don't have time to waste on idiots. Yeah. I really don't. I'm a busy guy. And like, I don't have time to waste on something that's been understood for thousands of years. I mean, the ancient Greeks figured this out, and they even figured out the size of the Earth before we had satellites.
Didn't they figure out the weight of it as well?
No. For that, you needed Newton. You have to wait till the 1700s. Yeah, that's a good point. No, we figured out how much the Earth weighs in the 17 or 1800s, I think. But that's a good point. Yeah, I don't have time to waste on things we've already figured out. I would rather talk about things that we don't know the answer to yet.
Right.
And talk about talk about where are we going, from here.
Yeah. Okay, let's take another call. We got the Goob here. One moment, please. 1 second when we get the Goob on the line. And where can people find your work? I guess you're not on social media, so just
but YouTube. My work is very.
I guess your YouTube is I guess your work is. You're not trying to be like like a YouTuber.
No, the reason why my work is easy to find is because my last name.
Yes, you're the only one, I imagine. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not the only one. There's probably 100, maybe 200 people on planet Earth with my last name, but that's not that many. And there's only 2 people you will find by searching my last name. You'll find me, or actually, 3 people. Me and my sister. So one of my sisters, Matilda, she was in Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, really?
Mrs. Maisel.
I'm a comedian.
Yeah. So she was Zelda.
Oh,
that's my sister.
Oh, really?
That's my sister. Yeah. And then my sister Kathy is a playwright, so you may have seen some of her work. So my sisters will come up. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The reason why I said 1, I was right. My sister Kathy, she goes by her married name, Kathy Mueller. And so you're not going to find, if you search this last name, you're only going to find me or one of my two sisters, my sister Matilda.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. I know a bunch of people who wrote for that show.
So my work is very easy to find because you just stick in Szydagis dark matter or Szydagis UAP. And so nothing is hidden. All of my stuff, in fact, my scientific papers, I'm very proud of this. You can access my scientific papers without a paywall. You can find the free versions of them. So you can find anything I've ever written for $0.00 by just opening up your laptop and going to Google. And I'm very proud of that because I think science should be free and open source for everybody.
Very cool. Goob, are you there?
I am here.
What's up?
Yeah, it took 3 times to unmute for some reason, but I'm here.
It's all good. It's all good. Go ahead.
I love what your guest just said, by the way. I couldn't agree more. Open source is the way. That's awesome to hear from you, man. Appreciate that. You want to find evidence of extraterrestrial life, right? And so I'm curious if you're familiar with the idea of Mars being nuked 180 million years ago, and if you've looked into that at all.
I have. I looked at the evidence like xenon isotopic ratios and things like that. So I'm very familiar with that. I'm actually, on Friday nights, you can catch me on a History Channel show called The Proof is Out There. And one of the other stars of that show, unfortunately, I can't remember his first or last name, but he represents, I think it's called the Sidonian Society. I'll mispronounce that. Probably that does talk about that possibility. So again, like I said at the beginning of the show, when we talked about crazy ideas like abductions, I don't want to dismiss it out of hand. I would rather, we should look for the evidence. And so I'm all for looking for evidence of that hypothesis on Mars and not just dismissing it. I think it's interesting, and I would love to see it being tested instead of just dismissed. So it's a very interesting idea. But one thing you said that I'm looking for, extraterrestrial life. Not quite. Small correction to that. You're not wrong, but I try to remain neutral. It's the same thing with was Mars nuked or not. I just want to know the truth. If the truth is aliens are real, excellent. If the truth is that aliens don't exist and we're alone in the universe, fine. Then I have my truth. I'm just interested in the facts. I'm interested in the truth, and I don't want my bias. Like, I love the idea of aliens, but I try not to let that bias me into finding aliens everywhere, because I would love to find evidence of aliens, but I'm not I don't have an axe to grind. It's the same thing with dark matter. Maybe dark matter doesn't exist at all, and we're wrong, and that's cool. As long I'm just interested in finding the truth with a capital T. Truth.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. What probability would you put? Sorry, group. What probability would you put that we are the only living organisms, or not living organisms, but there's no life out there? If you had to put a number on it.
Okay, if I had to put a number, depending, what you have to clarify
in our solar system, or our galaxy.
Our galaxy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. You mean probability we're alone?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to ask one more question, because the first question you already answered. Is it galaxy or universe?
Galaxy.
Now, next question: intelligent life or animal life? Because animal.
I'll take animal life.
Okay, animal and plant life. I would say there's a 0% chance we're alone. No way. I mean, there's got to be microbes at least somewhere, if not Mars and somewhere else. To me, that's insane.
Yeah.
To say we're alone is such a, frankly, stupid thing to say in the year 2025, when, remember, at the beginning of the podcast, of this episode, I said there are several trillion planets in our galaxy alone. You're going to tell me out of all those trillions of planets, none of them can support life?
It seems
that's crazy.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. Crazy. And I feel like that number, I remember, I'd be reading about this 10 years ago or maybe more, but they used to say it was hundreds of billions. Does this get revised? Was I just reading something?
Oh, no, we still don't know for sure. Could be hundreds of billions, could be trillions, but when the numbers are that big, who cares?
Yeah,
it's a huge number.
Yeah,
but also the difference between the numbers, I'm quoting you the higher number because you got to count moons.
Right.
What about habitable moons? What about habitable, it's not just planets. right? You could have habitable moons. And so the number is probably really, really,
And then there's how many galaxies?
Oh, it could be infinite. We don't know. There's at least hundreds of billions of those. So if you change the question to is there life in the universe, I think it's laughable to say we're alone. If it's in the galaxy, you could argue that maybe we're the only intelligent life. I still doubt
That's
still
crazy
ishy to me. But if you expand the question and say the entire universe, I mean, there's no way we're alone. There's no way. Because even if life is very hard for life to exist, multiply the probability of life forming, which is a small number, by a much bigger number. There's no way we're alone.
Yeah.
No way we're alone.
I agree with you on that. Goob, anything else there? Or do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think the isotopic analysis of Mars is enough to be compelling on its own, but I did want to ask some other questions. The James Webb Space Telescope put quite a few wrenches into the engine of the standard model. And I was wondering how the mainstream is dealing with that. And also as a kind of secondary, there's that I personally lean towards plasma cosmology and think that offers a bit better model than the standard one, which has been looking for dark matter for many decades now without actually verifying it. What are your thoughts there?
So first on the wrenches being thrown in, yes, I think that's extremely exciting. We've already had some wrenches thrown in the late 90s, and early 2000s when dark energy was discovered, because that threw a huge wrench in things. I learned that the universe was flat and matter dominated. That's completely false. And so there are wrenches have already been thrown in, but in the current wrenches suggest that the universe had a richer evolution than we thought, that the expansion rates might be changing more with time. And so right now, the way this is being dealt with is looking at how could the 0 point energy or cosmological constant vacuum energy, how could that have evolved with time, and how that might help explain the most recent observations. So it depends who you talk to. So scientists who legitimately just want to know the truth are not threatened by any new data. They are excited. Scientists like, I hope, me, who have not lost their childlike sense of wonder yet, are not put off by these things at all. Of course, you're going to meet one or two dogmatists, and those are usually the loudest people, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I've already made fun of. But you have to understand that's not most scientists. Most scientists are really joyful, more open-minded people. They're not the loudmouths like, Tyson on YouTube. And as your point about the dark matter search, let me address that, because I've been spending decades of my life on that. And you might say, well, I've been wasting my time because there's no dark matter. But remember, I said a few minutes ago, that's cool with me. That's fine. And the reason is because the technologies I've been using to look for dark matter, they're dual purpose or triple purpose. So it's fine if there's no dark matter, because I can use the same technologies I've been working on, the LZ experiment or the Snowball chamber, to do neutrino physics, to do nuclear physics. So I don't care if there's no dark matter. That's totally fine. I'm just interested in finding the truth. And so I think that it's important to look at historical examples as well. I mean, they're not proof, but they could teach us some things. So at one point, we thought that there was dark matter. There was an extra planet between the sun and Mercury. It was called Vulcan. And we were mistaken. It was just that we didn't understand how gravity works. We moved from Newton to relativity. But then on the other side of the solar system, we thought there was dark matter, a new planet. And we were right. After Saturn, there was Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So if you look at historical examples, sometimes the answer to mysteries in astronomy is, oh, there's more stuff that we don't know is there. And sometimes the mystery is, oh man, our entire theory is wrong and we got to start over. And so sometimes it's one possibility, sometimes it's the other, and sometimes it's in between.
Okay, so you didn't mention plasma cosmology there. It seems like you're still more interested in making the mainstream model work. I'm just curious if you think there might be value to the plasma cosmology model, or you think, your bet's still on the mainstream and finding a way to make that work, the Einsteinian model.
That's a really good question. I don't know enough about the plasma cosmology model in order to comment intelligently about it. I did know about your Mars thing. You know, I mentioned the isotopes. I'm afraid I don't know enough about it. And so unlike, you know, many scientists who will go on the internet and just talk nonsense about topics they don't know, I don't want to say something wrong when I haven't gotten a chance to read on it enough.
That's fair enough.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I would say, you know, maybe look into it. It's a model that doesn't have dark matter, and I think it works a little bit better. But yeah, thanks for taking my call, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scoop. All right, let's take one more call, and then we'll wrap this up. I believe this is Chris from Dallas. Although there's 2 calls here from the same person, so I don't know if Zoom is glitching right now. So we may have to. We'll see if this works. I've never seen this before.
I've seen this. I'm always. Oh no!
Oh, I feel like yeah. That was not good. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work, unfortunately, because for some reason this person's on twice, and there was a.
You have to ask him to call back, to hang up and call back. Oh no! Okay, there. That looks like it's fixed. There's only. Oh no! Wait, no.
No. So I hung up on one of them, and it hung up on both.
Okay, we should invite them to come back. It must have just been a glitch.
Yeah, Chris from Dallas, if you get a chance, call back in, and we'll see. Because this is the 165th episode of the show. I've never seen that happen, so that's odd. All right, well, tell me while we wait for this guy to call back in. What's I guess just how you want to wrap this up? If people, oh, you know what, he's here. Well, let's
Excellent.
Let's get it back.
All right.
Here. This is Chris from Dallas. We just hung out on my comedy show on the weekend. I sometimes get to meet callers in person, which is a fun time, because sometimes people are regular callers, and you know, you put a face to the voice, I guess, or the name. Let's see if this works. I don't know. There's something fishy going on here. Maybe I didn't pay my phone. Oh, here we go. Chris.
Yes. Hello. Good evening.
We made it.
Hi.
What's up?
What's going on? Yeah, it's Chris from Dallas. Good evening, Danny. Good evening, Matthew.
Good evening.
How's it going?
I'm so glad I was able to connect. I love people who are so personally invested in the truth. And real quick, I just wanted to get this out of the way. I just want to address the obvious. I feel like I owe you an apology, Danny.
Why?
I feel as though like I disrespected your time last night, and that was just not cool.
No, not at all. We had a good hang. What do you mean? And you didn't G-check.
I don't know, man. I feel like I clearly failed the aura test, and
not at all.
I was just a mess, and I mean, I think I was even drooling in front of your wife at one point. This was just.
Oh, you did. You know what? Actually, I'd like to say you did say my wife was very good looking, which I don't take that personally, but that gives me all sorts of problems when I get home, pal. She's like, Chris said I was beautiful. Why didn't you say that to me? I go, I say that all the time. She goes, no, you don't. Chris did. Causing me problems, Chris.
Yeah. Dude, I fucked up big time, and I don't even know how to explain myself. And personally, I'm so.
Dude, I had a good time. I had a great time.
I feel like such an idiot, dude.
Not at all. Honestly, I think you're overthinking this. It was a great hang.
Okay, good deal. But I wasn't like nodding out at that bar. I wasn't like making a fool of myself. You're saying?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Good deal. On dark matter and aliens.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm so glad I was able to connect with Matt tonight. Real quick, you made such a continued point about Neil deGrasse Tyson clearly playing dumb. Why do you think that is? Like, what's motivating him to play up the retard act? And
well, you get to stay on TV.
Fail to be transparent.
It's because being a skeptic, you will go much farther in life about any new idea. If you uphold the current dogma, you will go 10 times further in life in your career, and with money and with fame. And people like to think, oh, if you upset the apple cart, you'll become famous. That's unfortunately not the truth. History shows us actually you upset the apple cart. Maybe you'll be famous after you die when people prove you were right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like the thing is, it's really easy to get up there and repeat what everybody else is already saying. I mean, that's my guess.
And it's easier to be non-controversial. Like, you know,
exactly.
You're not getting in arguments with people. It's just...
he's just repeating the party line.
Yeah.
Not being controversial. And so that's going to get you further, unfortunately, in the scientific mainstream. Because unfortunately, the way science should work is it should be challenged nonstop to make sure we're right. Are we really right? Are we sure we're right? We should always be challenging ourselves. But unfortunately, in recent years, science has become more like religion, and it has its prophets, like Neil deGrasse Tyson. If you step out of line, you are a heretic.
Right, and they will destroy you.
And they will destroy your career. And that's why it's beneficial to me that I'm not at Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, one of those places, because I'm at an up and coming university like University of Albany that actually provides me some protection. Like, you know, Trump doesn't go after my university, you know, like Columbia or Harvard. So I can kind of fly under the radar and do what I want to do. And so there's some advantage to being where I am. And I'm very grateful for my department and my administration. And we're just trying to fly under the radar, hoping, you know, we don't get in trouble. But as a result, we don't get covered by the mainstream media, though.
Yeah. Until you come up with something crazy, and then they'll come around.
We've come up with multiple crazy things. We're still not covered by the mainstream media. So, like, I invented a new type of nuclear reactor. Nobody cares.
What?
Nobody's covering it. I disproved our competitors. Me and my colleague Cecilia disproved our competitors' claim of discovering a dark matter-like particle. They got to go on the New York Times. They got to go on 60 Minutes. Nobody talked to us. We proved them wrong.
Yeah.
And nobody, you know why? Because they're from Columbia. And so they get all the press. And the lowly physicists, me and my friend Cecilia, we caught them red-handed and proved how they got it wrong. And because we're honest. Remember, like the last caller, I said, I don't care if dark matter doesn't exist. I'm just for the truth. And lots of people can say that. I actually put actions behind those words. If somebody claims to discover something that's not there, I'm calling them out on it. And unfortunately, mainstream media knows nothing about it. I've made multiple discoveries that you will never hear of, maybe after I'm dead. I discovered a new type of mathematical technique that I heard the NSA is interested in, but nobody else.
Yeah, wow. The NSA.
I have lots of, I've got patents, I've got inventions. Nobody's talking about them. Zero mainstream media articles. Nobody cares.
Wow.
That's
that shit.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's what's up. So on that note, like, what do you think somebody, I guess, I mean, I mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I guess someone like him believes in regards to the recent disclosures, this stuff generally speaking, but just won't admit publicly. Like, what is it do you think that he actually believes?
No, I think he's sincere. I really think that, I'm not sure. Like,
do you think he's just like a midwit scientist kind of?
I really think, though, this goes back to the original point. Is it the retard act? I'm not convinced. I think he's sincere, and he's just not, he's not thinking hard enough about these issues, frankly. And
he's not incentivized, probably, to think.
I'm not sure how much of it is an act, because maybe it's an act, like I said, to get further in life. But I think that sometimes he is sincere, like when he poo-poos the whistleblowers. So maybe he's being sincere. The thing is, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't read people. Like police officers are good at this, right, for interrogation. Like, I don't know how to read people, so I don't know what the honest answer is, whether it's an act or whether he's just sincere or some mixture of the two.
Yeah, I think they're just follow the money.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, listening to you rant about like how there's no new money for new ideas, and talking about how the U.S. government basically just told you to go away.
Mm-hmm.
You said several times. The other day, well, actually, this was a couple of weeks ago, but damn, dude, I saw this guy on Twitter getting hundreds of thousands of likes. He had like half of third world Twitter believing that he discovered a method of converting plastic into gasoline.
Oh yeah, that guy was like a huge thing on Twitter.
Revolutionary. I mean, I guess it's just like this process called pyrolysis or something that's been around forever and that's inefficient, so we don't do it. But he had like millions of people convinced. He just completely fucked up big oil, and man, and it's just funny hearing you and your ideas get totally ignored. And
well, because they're not like as fantastical. They're just you're more like just like, you know, in the mine working away.
That guy had
this guy's like, I figured out alchemy. You go, okay, well that's.
Oh, I'm not just in the mind. I built things in my lab. I'm an experimental physicist. I actually have wrenches and screwdrivers. I was just, you know.
No, I meant in the mine, like the coal mine. You're just like down there.
Oh, in the mine.
Yeah. You're like down there just working away.
Yeah, I'm working away because look, you could have the best idea ever, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, I'm big on experiments. You know, I don't like chasing things like string theory, for example. I'm big on building it, testing it. If your crazy idea works, excellent. If it doesn't work, try something else.
Yeah.
Why did they tell you to fuck off? The U.S. government does.
Oh, so yeah. Let me clarify. Not entirely. They're giving. I've gotten millions of dollars in funding from them for my mainstream ideas. But if I come up with a new idea, that I was told there's no money for new ideas, because the problem is that the budget keeps shrinking for science every year. It's not because of Trump. It started years ago. Both Republicans and Democrats do this. Everybody's at fault. So it's not as simple as it's one party or another. No, everybody's to blame. Going back decades, politicians have been cutting science and cutting it and cutting it. Why are they doing it? It's because, remember I said, I think about an hour ago, that we've lost our vision, our long-term vision. Politicians are just interested in winning the next election in 2 years and 4 years. We've lost our long-term vision. Some ideas take 50 years. Some ideas take 100 years. And we've kind of, as a society, we've lost patience with ideas that don't work immediately, but take 50 or 100 years of slow and patient work. And if it's going to take that long, government's like, okay, you're not getting money for it.
Yeah. All right, Chris, I got to let you go. Excuse me, I got to wrap this up. But good talking to you, man.
That's it, Chris.
Good hanging in Dallas, Chris.
Take care.
You were all good.
Bye, Chris.
All right, that's been the show. I gotta get out of here. But thank you, Matthew, Dr. Matthew, for coming on. Szydagis. How do I say this again?
Szydagis.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on. That was very cool. I know this is some of it was a little over my head, but I thought it was very interesting. I hope people enjoyed the chat. And thank you again for coming on. Thank you everybody for joining me. Have a good night, Doctor. Thank you again.
Good night. Good night.
Take care. All right, that's been the show, everybody. I'm going to watch. I just threw up in my mouth a little. I saw someone calling in, but I got to wrap this up. I want to go watch this Blue Jays game. They're up 42, and it's 9:30 anyway. It's 9:27, but you know I'm Jewish, so it's 9:30. You know what I mean? But that's been the show, everybody. Thank you for joining this episode of Low Value Mail. Drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of the guests. You want more guests like this? You like them? I thought it was pretty interesting. It was my head hurts. I'm definitely way too much of a dum-dum for stuff like that, but it was interesting. I thought it was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. Hold on. Let me read some super chats that I didn't get to. There might be a new episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night. Anton says, guest thought lobotomy. And then Anton also says, does having a foreskin make you more sensitive? These are the questions that should be asked. Maybe not going to ask those to an astrophysicist. It's more of a bathhouse question, which there may be an episode tomorrow night. I'll let you know. I really do want to watch this Blue Jays game. And I feel like if I'm doing the bathhouse while the Blue Jays game's on, it's not going to be a very good episode. But I'll let you guys know tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that. But drop a comment, like the stream. Let me know what you thought. Oh my God, 200 likes. You guys actually liked it, you fucking scumbags. Good for you. But let me know what you thought of the guests. We have a cool guest next week as well. I've been busting my ass getting guests for this show. I'm trying to get a good balance between, like, you know, conspiracy kooks and then like actual astrophysicists. I know the conspiracy kooks could be more fun sometimes, but you know, I'm trying to balance it out. We'll see. That's been the show. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you like to support the show, drop a comment, subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or patreon.com/lowvaluemail. And really just share this with a friend. Be like, you got some friend? You go, hey, I think you like the show. Just hit that share button on YouTube. Send it over to them. Have them come join the freak show. That's been the show. Good night, everybody. See you soon.
Really a poet, you know it, on my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurt. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenally. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comical. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, and they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up pressure on some flight shit. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah.